Okay, another nair, and we see both players just fishing for their one option. F-tilt does connect, and trying to get the tech chase, but doesn't find it. Up throw to up air.
Ooh, and he really wants to get that yoink back into that to continue the comp.
Okay, hold on. Before you dislike the video, please hear me out, all right? Obviously, top tiers and high tiers are better than mid tiers competitively. They give you a higher chance of winning tournaments. They give you a higher chance of winning in general, right? Because they're better. But mid tiers are in this weird in between because they're not super broken. They're not good enough to be super broken, but they're not bad enough to be totally unviable. They can still be played. They're playable. But people end up forgetting they exist. Now, why would someone play a mid tier over a top tier? Well, generally it's for one of these reasons. And before I get into the reasons, just remember that these are general statements. It doesn't apply to every single mid-tier player out there. It's just like a typical example of why they would play that character. All right? Okay. Reason number one. They want to be unique, so they pick a character that not a lot of people use. Now, believe it or not, a lot of people actually do this. You know, there's a sense of pride in being the only character rep in your local scene for a certain character. And it's a little bit understandable, even though I'd never do it. Mainly because I feel like it's more important to play a character in a unique way than to play a unique character, especially if that unique character is mid-tier. But more power to the people who do it. Reason number two, they want to compete, but they don't want to be considered a tier whore, or they just don't want to use top tiers out of principle.
Just pick a top tier. You want to win, yo?
Yeah.
Top tier.
Okay, fair enough. Now, these people fall into two categories. There's the ones who want to challenge themselves with a lesser character that they may enjoy, but then there's the ones who want to stroke their egos by winning with a lesser character. Because if they win, hey, they beat you with a bad character. In their minds, a bad character. And if they lose, hey, it's their character's fault, so it's no big deal. Reason number three, and probably the most common reason for why people play mid-tiers, is because they just have the most fun with that character. That's the character they enjoy playing the most. Okay, Charlie, that's all well and good, but how are they carried, you ask? Well, here's how. A lot of people don't know how to fight these characters. These characters aren't unviable after all. They have threatening tools. And even if you want to practice against these characters to get better versus them, there's so few of them in the competitive scene that it's just hard to get worthwhile practice against them. So a lot of the time, mid-tiers are fighting against people that aren't familiar with their characters. So what ends up happening is, since there's so few mid-tier players out there, that the only experience you'll get versus the mid-tiers is when you get unexpectedly hit with one in your bracket. So you have to learn how to fight the mid-tier on the fly rather than practicing the matchup, which makes it easier for them to beat you with some unfamiliar strategies or unfamiliar moves, unfamiliar everything. In some cases, people end up developing bracket demons that are mid-tier characters, because the only experience they get versus this character is in tournament. They don't practice with them in person or online. So they end up tricking themselves into thinking that this mid-tier is secretly broken, and when in reality, they just need to learn the matchup. Now, please keep in mind that if you play mid-tier, this video is not attacking you. It is just a general statement that most people are unfamiliar with mid-tier matchups, but there are plenty of amazing players who play mid-tiers. There are plenty of amazing players who know mid-tier matchups, and you won't be getting by on matchup and experience forever, because people will learn the matchup, and if you're still beating them, that's a good sign. Well, if you agree with me, if you agree with Larry, this is his script after all, like the video, consider subscribing, maybe leave a comment down, tell me what you think, and we'll see you next time. And if you're wondering who I am, I'm Charliedaking, also a Wolf player from SoCal. Me and Larry are really good friends, and he let me voice over this video, and I'm very grateful for that. So if you have any criticisms, put them in the comments, or tell me on Twitter, if Larry plugs my Twitter in the description or something. I don't know. Make sure to hit subscribe again, subscribe twice, or if you haven't already. We'll see you guys in the next video, and goodbye.
I want the money to work for me. I'm tired of working for the money.